do not need to set the scene for you on our dramatic statistics in rural New Zealand around our suicides and the state of our mental health services. One political party that is wanting to transform it, not the only one, a lot do, but have got that hot in their sights, is the ACT Party. And not only talking about mental health, but of course the rural spokesman. Mark Cameron is joining us now from Northland. Good evening, sir. How are you?
How are you, Sarah?
Good, good. We've got you there on screen coming through. Hey, look, let's kick off on a positive. We're talking about All Blacks. You've just heard the boys there, as well as Guy Peacock has said David Kirk. Who's your favourite All Black of all time?
Oh, look, it's got to be Fitzy. It's got to be Fitzy. Yeah, look, I've got a soft spot. I don't think he got a lot of justice for the amount of work that man did.
Definitely. He was an excellent captain and totally over that time of some outstanding All Blacks. I'm just going to throw out Jonah Lomu. Why has no one brought that up tonight?
Yeah.
Can I say that as well? Hey, now, Mark, thank you so much for coming on Sarah's Country. Of course, it's probably kicking off the countdown to the election where we will be speaking to the rural spokespeople from each political party throughout. But, of course, it's Mental Health Week, and hence why we're talking to you tonight. Could you please, you are a dairy farmer up in rural Wai and, of course, have been deeply connected to the rural community in Northland for many years. Can you give us a wee bit about your personal experience with depression and mental health?
Oh, look, absolutely. I've been up in the Copper Clay for 30 years, and I'm now coming up 50, but in my early 30s, I suffered from mental illness terribly. I was heavily medicated for it, and it's... Sarah, it's conducive of everyday farmers who are notoriously good at not reaching out. We seem to identify who we are as farmers by what we do. And quite often that acknowledgement goes missing, and we don't communicate that reality well with each other and to those that we need help from.
And of course, you certainly had a rough go when it comes to personal experiences with those who have lost their battle to depression.
Yes. Oh, look, I've had the misfortune of, in the 30 years I've been dairy farming in Northland, I've actually buried 4 of my colleagues. And you know, Sarah, it's got to stop. The first thing I would say to anyone, farmer, dairy farmer, sheep and beef guy, or growers, you're bloody good farmers. You know, New Zealand farmers need the oratory that they haven't had. We're the best farmers in the world, in my opinion, certainly in the opinion of the ACT Party. I want to get that message back out to them and say, hey, look, we are in your corner. The vitriolic language that all too often has been thrown at farmers, it's got to stop. And in a world where the dear old New Zealand economy is contracted by 10%, the worst thing we can do is take pot shots at our farmers. It's just not on.
We'll talk about some of these rural issues, and I want to work through them with you, as I will give the floor to each and every political party in all fairness, Mark. But let's talk about ACT's policy about transforming mental health. The Labour Party wrote out a large cheque. Not many people have seen the coins landing around them. Lots of promises. In my personal experience working in rural mental health, it is growing. It's not going away, this issue. And the isolation of services is a real dramatic problem. What's ACT offering to do that's different?
Well, the first thing I think we've got to acknowledge is that we need a more tailored approach. We don't have it. It's the old analogy, if you can make the comparison to a university, administration gets all the money and it doesn't filter down to the people, which are the teachers and the students that so desperately need it. And it's happening in the mental health reality. Very sadly, as an example, I had my whole herd eradicated with M. bovis. Now, I'm lucky that I managed to get through that. So often, those that reach out don't get the oratory, don't get the support, because it's all locked up in administrative costs, and the ACT policy is a lot more tailored approach. Brooke Van Belden is our deputy leader. We're creating a portfolio specifically targeting in the health reality a new portfolio directly targeting mental health and addiction. It'll be called Mental Health and Addiction New Zealand. But I would defer her wisdom on that. She knows more of the particulars. We are going to release that in the coming days.
Mark, what helped you?
Ironically, Sarah, helping others. I was a suicide potentiality, and the best thing you can do is lean over the fence and a big gregarious voice say, hey, look, I've got mental health issues. I'm suffering from mental illness. Bloody well help me. And it's the best thing you can do is jump on the farm quad, go to your neighbour and ask him how he's going. We've got to get rid of the stigma. We really have to get rid of the stigma.
And the big ultimate question is, what's your advice to somebody when somebody comes to you for help?
Listen more than talk. And there's no time frames in these things. Farmers are pragmatists. They put time frames on anything like broken bones, and most farmers have had a few of those. They try and chase their issues away with an allotted time. Mental illness, if you start putting time frames around it, it's a difficulty that you can't sort of walk away from. You've just got to work with those that are willing to be supportive and engage as much as you can in conversation, and be honest with it. It's a damnable thing to deal with, and the best thing you can do is talk to good, kind souls that are willing to listen.
Yeah, absolutely. I must say that, yeah, we don't celebrate the little wins every day. We think too much about our failures, that we haven't achieved a big win, and I feel like we need to do that a lot more every day. Talking about celebrating little wins, let's move over to your rural portfolio as a as spokesman for rural issues. My apologies. But in the portfolio of issues that rural people face, let's start to work through them. What would be those little wins that ACT would like to see, should it be elected into Parliament, to start achieving some tangible, great outcomes for New Zealand's farmers and growers?
Oh, absolutely. Look, the ACT Party is a party of pragmatists. We've got to find practical solutions for difficult problems, and the rural sector's got a lot of issues that it's now been confronted with. So if you were to talk about climate change and the reality around, say, methane targeting, we've really got to have an honest conversation on that. Farmers are routinely aware, or becoming more acutely aware, should I say, that there's the potentiality that the methane framework will be brought in. We certainly think that's an egregious bit of policy. It's, as far as we're aware, it doesn't allow for a lot of the scientific realities that's now becoming more evident. If you look at the stuff like fresh water and the recent vitriolic language that's come out of say, perhaps Labour with Minister Parker around pugging in gateways and water troughs and down in the deep south, we've pushed back hard on that. And, you know, the simple fact is, well, there was one chap that said to me, well, the farmers shouldn't be there. Now, this is the kind of language that I'm hearing, that my party's hearing, and we think that's an insanity to logic. You know, farmers are their own naturally their best own conservationists of the land. They live on the land. And, you know, you can have an adverse weather event overnight, and all of a sudden you've got a prosecutorial reality with local council. So we've got to find honest solutions to difficult problems, and hyperbole and some of the vitriolic language out of some of the big players has got to change. There are solutions, and we'll find them.
Okay, Mark, what are some of the solutions that we do potentially become the most sustainable producer of food and fibre in the world, that in the environment is at the forefront of what we do? How would ACT achieve that economically and environmentally?
The first thing is, as the ACT Party, we're big on small government. We actually think that industry should lead industry. We've got to get government out of the way. Not entirely. There's a role for government, and we acknowledge it. You know, we're not anarchists. We are acutely aware that there is a role for government. But we're looking for a tailored approach at a council by council level, at an on the ground reality. we're also acutely aware the best exponents and drivers of these various industry are industry leaders. So we're really getting in behind industry to promote industry, find tangible solutions for difficult problems, taking into account that we've all acknowledged that there's difficulties in and around fresh water, stock exclusion fencing. There's a myriad of things that go on at a regional level that we think as the ACT Party should be checked and balanced by regional levels with a tailored approach and led by industry doing it.
And with regards to the economic recovery, how do you believe that we can keep health in check with our economic recovery and exposition on the COVID situation here in New Zealand?
I don't profess to be someone who's an MD of any description, but I would err on the side of caution and say, hey, we've got to open up to sensible border conversations. We share a reality with about 14 other countries around the world. Our geopolitical landscape has us in the bottom of the world, surrounded by a big moat. So we've got to have the honest conversation. And the simple fact is we've got to have a more concise reality at the border. We can't get our seasonal fruit pickers in, which is a damnation. We've really got to find a tangible way, better border testing, better track and trace. We've got to engage the private sector. We really believe that the government shouldn't be a player in this broad scheme of thing and the referee at the same time. We've actually got to engage the private sector as well as government to find a tailored solution for border control and monitoring. We've got to get our country back started again.
Thank you so much, Mark Cameron. He's a rural spokesman and mental health spokesperson. Speaking about his mental health situation for the ACT Party. My apologies. Thank you so much, Mark, joining us there from Northland.
This is Sarah's Country.